Hey, this is Jeremy, and today we're going to be talking about the physiologic effects of stress on the body and what it can mean for you. Now, one of the biggest things to that we need to take away from this is anytime we're put in a stressful environment, your body is going to release hormones and catecholamines, or such as epinephrine and adrenaline, and that's going to be taxing for you and for your body. Now, this is typically not necessarily a bad thing in fight or flight type situations where you're in danger and you either need to fight whatever the substance is or the aggressor is, or you can flight, such as run away. And that's where the fight or flight comes from, because you do have that adrenaline, that epinephrine dump, and it gives you all this extra energy initially. But that is going to get used up. And that's not necessarily the best thing. So whenever we have these catecholamine dumps, they do affect your hormones, and they affect your remaining energy levels and how much epinephrine or adrenaline you actually have left. And what this is going to do is this is going to cause you to it can cause you to get physically ill, where you can be depressed, you can have a lack of motivation because all of your hormones they're mismatched. Now, this is that fight or flight that I was talking about. That's typically not necessarily a bad thing. Again, such as, whenever you're having to fight something or to run away from it. But that's not going to typically be part of somebody's everyday lifestyle in the modern world. So what we deal with is we have these acute stress reactions, and that is whenever we have a stressful situation, such as we're going to a really high stress call, such as a cardiac arrest or a difficulty breathing, or something that's going to require you to use a lot of energy, and it's mentally and physically exhausting. And so what can happen is whenever you have these over and over and over again, such as what we get exposed to working in this industry, it can have, this physical effects. And a big thing to understand is, what we're going to be talking about with the stress reactions is it's important to understand that not talking about it or ignoring the problem is not going to make it go away. That's something that studies have shown. The science is there, and that's why we have these campaigns such as the Code Green campaign, where they're talking about PTSD, and you have people that are talking about the things that stress them out that they've had a negative reaction to. So during stressful events such as a cardiac arrest or a seizure, or any call that may involve a kid, you are going to have a catecholamine dump, and that can be beneficial because you're entering that fight or flight stage, and so you could be in a heightened state of awareness. This could make you to where you may lose some fine motor skills, but your ability to perceive information is heightened. And that can be very beneficial, especially whenever you have a critical situation. You have a lot of moving parts going on at the exact same time. Now, so this acute stress reaction, that is whenever people start to say that time slowed down. So if you ever hear of anybody who was in a car wreck or a plane crash, or maybe they were about to get shot, or maybe they did get shot, they typically say that the moments right before what they perceived as what was going to be the impact, time had slowed down to a near standstill where they could hear everything, feel everything. And that's part of that stress reaction that we have there. Now, that acute stress reaction to where you're in that moment and you have that fight or flight situation go on, that's going to lead to a delayed stress reaction. Now, that delayed stress reaction, that's after the call is over. That's after the event is over. And that's whenever you start replaying these things in your head. And so maybe you get a little anxious about the way that something on the call went. You got anxious at the time, and you thinking about it, it just brings your anxiety up. You start maybe getting nauseated and agitated. And maybe you're even frustrated with yourself over some things. But that's where that delayed stress reaction comes in at. Now, the best thing to do is to attempt to control these reactions, these delayed stress reactions. That way, we're going to stop any further catecholamine hormone release that's going to raise up our anxiety and not make us react in a positive way to the situation. So we need to control these delayed stress reactions by doing a debriefing. Maybe this is right after the call. You and your partner can talk about it, or you and the crew that you were with, y'all can talk about it. Or maybe even, you can go talk to the doctor and try to do something to unwind and kind of understand a little bit about what was going on. Now that you have a moment where it's not go, 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 you have this moment to where you can take a piece of information, you can process it. Was there something that you could have done differently? Well, take note of that and do that next time. Was there something that you think you did really well on, or that you think somebody else did really well on? Compliment them. That way they know that they can do that. Compliment yourself. Do things to kind of help minimize that stressful reaction, that epinephrine, that catecholamine dump. Now, whenever you have multiple acute stress reactions and multiple delayed stress reactions, this is all going to lead up to something called the cumulative stress reactions. And this is whenever we're getting really close to being at that stage of PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. So whenever you've been exposed to prolonged stressful events, you may not quite be able to shake the event like you typically would that acute or those delayed stress reactions. So this accumulation of constant call after call after call of stress reaction after stress reaction, your body is starting to lose its hormone release. It's starting to lose its epinephrine. And so this is whenever people start saying that they may be getting adrenaline junkies, because the only way that they can feel anything is if they are doing something exciting. And so this can lead to people to doing dangerous activities, such as the high-risk extreme sports. And again, these cumulative stress reactions, they're from those acute stress reactions and those delayed stress reactions, just over and over and over. So the cumulative stress reactions, whenever you know that you're truly kind of sort of getting stressed, you're gonna feel fatigued, which is tired all the time. You're gonna have a loss into appetite, or maybe a change in your appetite, where you want to eat more, or maybe you want to eat less. You can have gastrointestinal problems or headaches. You're not going to be peeing and pooping quite as well. And that's not necessarily the best thing in the world, especially if you're not eating. You can have insomnia, or you can have it where you're sleeping all the time, because that's the only thing you want to do, because you're just over everything. Some people, they do also resort to drug or alcohol abuse, and it's not just necessarily prescription drugs. You have people that may dive into the harder street drugs, such as meth or heroin, and again, so they do create highs that some people associate with that feeling of euphoria. And you can also have a loss of interest in your work and sexual activity. And that's not necessarily the best thing, because if we lose our work, and maybe we even lose our home life, that's just going to make things significantly worse. And things are just going to go downhill from there. And not only do you have a stressful time at work, but you're also having a stressful time at home. And if you hate coming into work, that's going to lead to burnout, where you don't enjoy your job, and you may not necessarily perform your job to the best of your abilities anymore. And that can cause some issues in and of itself. Now, you also have delayed health effects of accumulative stress reactions. So what that leads to is that can lead to excess heart disease, because again, if your heart's working all the time, maybe there's parts of it that don't have as much oxygen, or you're starting to build up plaque and those types of things. And so again, you can have hypertension, heart disease such as atherosclerosis or arteriosclerosis. It can lead to cancer, or alcoholism as a coping mechanism. And you can have depression. And these are all clinical things that manifest with actual signs and symptoms that are diagnosable. And so you've turned something that was strictly a mental thing by your ability to not necessarily be able to control it, but just the way that you react to these situations, which is not something that you can always control. But through these reactions, you've caused a physical change in and of yourself and your all around general well-being. And that's not the best thing, because if we can't take care of ourselves, and so mentally, then physically it's proven that we're going to have some issues. And if we can't take care of ourselves mentally and physically, how can we expect ourselves to be able to take care of somebody else whenever they need us? And that's what we really need to kind of get on, is you have to, at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself first. Whether that's with scene safety, with the National Registry checkoff sheets or anything, your personal safety, your personal well-being needs to take priority over anything else. And if you happen to get in these situations where you are in a high stress environment, maybe you need to take a vacation. Maybe you need to think about changing something. Quit your second job. Do things that are going to be beneficial for you and your mental and your physical well-being, for you to be able to take care of yourself, your family, and others whenever you're on the job. Because for us to provide the most benefit, we really need to enjoy coming into work. And that's whenever our patients notice a difference. That's whenever our coworkers notice a difference. Whenever you actually enjoy coming into work, people will enjoy being with you. And if you enjoy the people you're with, you'll enjoy coming into work. And so be able to talk with your coworkers, be able to talk with just anybody about these situations. That way, if we talk about our things that bother us, then we're causing those acute stress reactions, those things that were in the moment that were causing that catecholamine dump of the epinephrine and the hormones that led to those acute stress reactions, to where we're feeling anxious, we feel time slow down. After that event's over, that delayed stress reaction, talk to somebody to where that delayed stress reaction, it's a whole lot shorter, and you're able to recover that much quicker. And so those are really the key points that we need to remember, we need to talk about. And don't feel like you can't talk to somebody about these things, because there are resources that you can utilize to reach out and get some help if you need it. And don't be scared. And so those are the big things about stressful reactions and the physiology behind it.